What's up, Pendanguses? This is DF Class 97, and today we're going to be doing a I.K.E.M.E.N tutorial, one of the many I.K.E.M.E.N tutorials, because this for a little while I'm planning on doing a playlist for I.K.E.M.E.N, in-depth tutorials from things like Screenpack creations, and I do mean Screenpack creations, not just character select shit. We're also going to do like in-depth, like how I.K.E.M.E.N just works in general. What is I.K.E.M.E.N? How do I play online? How do I add characters, etc., etc. The bare basics so that people can pick up I.K.E.M.E.N and not only use it more often, because I believe it's a wonderful, really good fucking engine, but it's also a really it's just something that needs to be learned. This episode, we're going to go by in-depth tutorial on Screenpacks. Now, this video might take a little while. You know, it might be a little bit big, but I'll make some timestamps in the description, as well as, well, the fact of, you really might want to know this, because, trust me, you might want to know everything. Okay, so let's just minimize. I'm going to do this. This is live right now. So, okay, so what you want to do is you want to have I.K.E.M.E.N, obviously. In the description, I'll add links to all the things, including I.K.E.M.E.N. I.K.E.M.E.N is an engine that is always constantly being updated, so always get the most updated version. For now, the version is I'm sorry, I'm not good with months. This is May 10th of 2015. He is still updating it. The creator, to this day, is still updating it. Just hasn't released an updated build, but he is still updating I.K.E.M.E.N. So what you want to do is you want to extract it. You know, you want to have something like WinRAR, which is basically kind of like what you need anyway, you're essential. So now we have this I.K.E.M.E.N, right? So we open it up, and this is I.K.E.M.E.N. Of course I want to run it. Why would you ask me? Stop asking me this shit. Sorry about that. Here it is, I.K.E.M.E.N. Looks like shit. Look at that. Looks like barcodes in the background. This looks ugly. Well, let's change that. So you have different files here. You have the chars, which is basically your characters, data, which is basically the area for the life bars. In Mugen, data is basically where you put all the coding, but here, nah, you don't do that shit. Lib is just a bunch of DLLs, plugins or plugins. Replays, where you put your replays for online matches. Script, this is the main thing you're going to be messing with. This is basically your real data folder. Sound, which is, well, sound. SSZ, which is all the different types of codings for in-depth stuff like your config for buttons, netcode, etc. And over here is where you put your stages and a bunch of this other bullshit. But we're going to mainly look at the script folder. The script folder is probably the most important folder, at least for basic I.K.E.M.E.N editing. You want to open main.lua. Now you want to open this with Notepad. If you don't know how to do that, just right-click, open or open with, and just look up Notepad or Notepad++ or whatever thing that is similar to Notepad. So we're going to open it with Notepad since, well, that's all you need. All this text here, oh my god, this is confusing. Don't worry, we're going to help you through this. Now, let's say you have a Screenpack already made, and you want to basically put it on I.K.E.M.E.N. I've done a few of these already. I've done the Screenpack for the blue Screenpack of Infinity M.U.G.E.N team. I've even ported games like HyperDBZ, the recent build, and shit like that. So, let's say you just want to make let's say you want to put Mugen Jet's Mugen Battle Coliseum Screenpack. So we can do this. Now there are a few ways to do this. Now the real thing you want to get is the data folder from the Mugen itself. Let's say you already have a Screenpack you want to put for you just want to put it for I.K.E.M.E.N. You could do that with that. You basically, let's say you use the data folder because that's where all the sprites are and whatnot of the Screenpack. Now this is for people that kind of already know how Screenpacks work. If you don't know how Screenpacks work, there are plenty of tutorials out there already of Mugen, how to make Screenpacks, and not just videos, but also sites like Mugen Fighters Guild has many tutorials on many things, and one of them should be Screenpacks. Now, this is for people that already know, or at least want to learn. You know, you can still watch this video. Don't be discouraged. Now, there's a bunch of shit here. The files you need, or rather the programs, you need an I.K.E.M.E.N. Now, if you just want to make a port of a Screenpack, let's say you already have one, you just want to make it for I.K.E.M.E.N., you know, get your Screenpack, and you need Fighter Factory 3, or any Fighter Factory, but I recommend the recent one, which is 3. That's basically the program to make characters and stuff like that for Mugen. So, let me just check real quick. Okay, we're doing alright, 4 minutes, wow. Alright, so, what you want to do is you want to open up your sprites, you really want to leave like the text stuff away from Fire Factory. So let's say you want to open up sprites. Let's go to open, and let's look for Ikemen, the default, and we're gonna go to script system.sff. SFF is the thing used for sprites. So here it is. You got the stupid barcodes and all that other good shit, and it's only like 9 sprites. This thing is really simple and basic. Now you want to make a separate tab if you want. I recommend that. Let's make a separate tab. I'm making a character, yeah, sure. And let's open up the sprites of the Screenpack you want to make or you want to do. Now this is if you already want to port a Screenpack. If you want to make an original Screenpack just for I.K.E.M.E.N, you can still do this with the exact tutorial I'm giving you, since they both go hand in hand. But I'm using this version where I just get a Screenpack because I already have the sprites made. So we're using this. Let's just go to system.sff, which is Mugen Battle Coliseum by, I think, Mugen. This is, I think, an old Screenpack. And shout out to Old Gamer. I think he ported this. Alright, so here we go. We got Mugen Battle Coliseum. Now let's start with the first thing that everyone loves to learn is the character select. We're gonna go through many things. We're gonna go through the character select. We're gonna go through the main menu, because that's what's been bugging everybody. We're even gonna go crazy. We're gonna do like versus mode, or hell, even an online waiting room. I mean, maybe not a waiting room, but when you're searching, you at least get your own little menu bar, like background shit. So let's open up that main. We already have it open. Now here's where you want to. This is where all the magic happens. This is where you code everything, and it's fairly simple. So let's go to the I'm sorry, I'm not really super bueno when it comes to tutorials, but we'll try our best. So what you really want to go to is a section around, let me look here. Let's just go straight into the pictures. Look, all this here, it starts with cell BG. Now, I also recommend, if you don't know where to look, cell BG is kind of the first place you want to look. The key here is you want to press Control F, and it has like a find area, and this is really good, so in case you don't have to be soul searching for that, just that one word. Okay, so here it is. Cell BG. This basically means select background. Cell box, which is select box. This is select box too. And really, none of this is necessary. You can get rid of select box. Well, not really. You don't have to get rid of select box since you're gonna. Well, it depends. But fuck it. Let's just save that for later. But you want to focus on cell BG or select BG. You can rename it to anything. You don't even have to use these. But I recommend using it because really, why would you want to code and write this shit by yourself? What are you, a fucking maniac? Also, this is all 640 by 480. I want to look at those sprites real quick. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, here we go. Alright, so you want to look for this cell BG. Now, let's actually open up that Mugen. What I like to do sometimes is when I want to make it like just like the Screenpack, I like to actually use the Screenpack and view it first and mess around with it. You know, like open it up and shit. And then, like, I'll look at it side by side and, you know, see what we can do. So let's open up the Screenpack. I think I'm opening it up twice by accident. No, I'm very clean. Alright, so let's open up this Mugen real quick. Why the fuck are you asking me that I want to open Mugen? Of course I do. Now loading. You can also do this type of stuff too, but we're going to really focus on just getting the menu on there. Oh my god, elect byte. It's just like the SNK logo. Is that loud? That's a little loud. Oh my word. I'm sorry about that if it was too loud. Oh my god, look at this intro. I'm actually learning how to code it. Let me just... Bruh. Thank you. Let me configure the controls real quick. Oh god, this is loud as fuck. I don't know if it's loud for you guys, but right now my ear's getting like first-degree rape up in this bitch. Sorry about that. Alright, good. We have music in the background. Okay, so let me just configure my controls real quick. Oops. Did it save? Okay, there we go. Shit. Oh, I'm really sorry about this. This is live. We're doing it live. Fuck it. Alright, so this is pretty basic. It's just Mugen Coliseum, a little blue background, and you got the text here and shit. Let's look at the menu. Oh, this is fairly simple. Alright, we can do this shit. Alright, so you get a good look at that. It's also good to have it like side by side and whatnot. So let's do that. Okay, so obviously that background, so you have, let's go to the character select. Now also, let me open that game up one more time, just because I like to see what I'm working with. So let's just go to the versus mode, like the character select. Alright, so we got a blue background here and it has a little bit of animation. We're going to be able to add that too with layers and shit. A little box here and this little box here. Okay, so let's go through the basic. Let's get that sprite. So what you want to do is, if you already have the thing, you can do one of two things. You can either do it side by side, like import the sprites yourself, or this is highly recommended if you're doing like an exact like Screenpack thing, which we're gonna do right now since it saves us time. We're gonna copy and paste the system.sff from the Screenpack that we're using. Again, this is not necessary, but it's recommended since it's a lot faster. So you take the system.sff, I believe it is in this folder. You can do this with any Screenpack you want. Let's just copy and paste over it. Yes, replace the file. Since we're really not going to use any of that barcode shit, since we're going to explain to you exactly what it does. Now you might think, oh, that's it, just easy copy and paste. See, look how fucked up it is. Look at that, that looks trashy. Alright, let's tell you exactly what we're doing. So you're gonna open up your Fighter Factory. Now, once you open up your Fighter Factory, you look for the sprite you wanna, oops, I don't wanna save anything. You look for the sprite you wanna load up. Let's go to Ikemen, script, and the system. Alright, now we have all the sprites. You can instead of doing this, you can also do something like instead of this, you can just import the sprites already, like, you know, saving the images and shit. But let's not go through all that. Also, so let's just go through this. Let's go for the main menu. This is also, since you're importing a Screenpack, this is a lot easier to do. You don't necessarily have to make everything yourself, only if you're messing with it. But if you're making, again, a Screenpack, you don't really need to, whatchamacallit, you don't really need to go through any issue, since it's relatively the same thing. So let's go to System. Again, this is just basically porting a Screenpack onto I.K.E.M.E.N itself. So let's see here. Now, this is select BG. Now, if you remembered correctly, the game, the Mugen that we're porting, the select background is this blue with the little circle that's, you know, fading in and out, this little white circle thing over here. So let's go here and let's look for that sprite. Now, there are a few sprites here, like 600 group and 1. Group 600 and index 1 is the sprite which does that little fade lighting effect, and 600 is obviously the little blue background there. So to look for this, the easiest way to look for it is, let's say for example you want to look in the sprite real quick, you don't want to have to fucking read through everything like terms and conditions. You could just look for exactly what you want to find, like bam, I wrote in 600 the group and the index 1 and I found it. Now, the way I.K.E.M.E.N works in terms of layers and sprites is kind of a mix mash of the layer and the begin action little animation thing. In Mugen, you have to, if you have animations and layers, you gotta make a group layer. It, like, for example, what group is it? 6,000? So over here, somewhere around here, there should be a layer or a select BG thing that says 6,000. Or something like that. Well, some of them, not all. If it's like an animated sprite, you have to make like its own animation, like little section. But if it's just a sprite alone, for example, 600, sprite number 600 would just select background 0, which, if we remember correctly, is this little blue thing. 01 is the lighting. So here we already found the sprite we're using. Since it's 2 layers, we're going to make 2 of these bitches. So let's say this is select BG. You can keep it that way, you can rename it. So you have select BG here, you have the sprite you want to do. Now, you have to remember the numbers so you can go back and forth. Since this is the background of the original one, we're going to use it. So it says group 600, index 0. Here is where you type in the group. Instead of 100, we're going to replace it with 600. This is the group and this is the index. So it's just like this side here, sprite number, group index. Here it is, sprite number, group index. On this side here are the accesses of x's and y's. Now this is if you want to position it already, because you can position it using the Fighter Factory itself. You can just move like the sprite around, but I highly don't recommend it since it's very inaccurate for some reason. Sometimes when you move it a certain way, it appears a different way, so really don't mess with it. I kind of recommend if you just put it 0, 0 on every single one, at least for I.K.E.M.E.N porting, or I.K.E.M.E.N Screenpack creations. So you take the sprite, whatever sprite you want, let's say the blue background, make it 600 instead of 100, and it's 0. Now this is all depending, not every sprite uses this number system. You know, a lot of Screenpacks have different numbers. So use whatever Screenpack you're porting or whatever Screenpack you're making and make the numbers yourself and put them in depending on how they're listed. And over here, this -1 is the time, how long it lasts. Again, this is a mix. If you're doing multiple, basically how I.K.E.M.E.N works with Screenpacks, instead of using its layers and not just layers and definitions and shit like that, but it also uses, again, begin action. This is for animations. With this, it's basically everything in one, which is why I like to say sometimes I.K.E.M.E.N Screenpack making is both easier and harder at the same time. When you get used to it, it's easier. This is basically how long the sprite wants to last. -1 means it's just going to stay there, which if you just have a single sprite, like, again, this blue is just going to be like this for the rest of the time. The white's going to do the little lighting magic, I believe. So we just want this. If it's just a single sprite and nothing moving, just keep it -1. Animation set tile. Now this is very important. If you're making new layers, we'll get to that later, but whenever you make this name, like cell BG equals a new animation, and this is the little code saying what sprite it's going to use and shit. Over here, it tells you what you want. You always want to make this name the exact same as the one here. So like it says, cell background equals. So every time you make a little thing here, you want to make sure it recognizes. Okay, so which sprite do you want me to fuck with? And it says cell BG, so make sure you put cell BG here too. Or over here, cell box. Which one you want to fuck with? Cell box. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So set tile. This basically means if you want to make, like, let's say, tiles of the sprite. So let's say if your sprites are small and you want to make like a bunch of rows and columns of that, you can do that. 1 means enabling it, 0 means disabling. Since it's just one sprite alone, the x-axis, which is basically left and right, and the y-axis, which is basically up and down. X, Y, X and Y, Pokemon X and Y. You want to make sure both are 0, since really you're just having this one fat background. Color key, select background. Again, you got to make sure you got to have the same name as the first thing over here. Select background. Now, this depends on the color. Like, let's say you're importing a sprite, which is basically putting a picture on the sprite file. So let's say you go here and be like, oh, new picture, this shit. You see, there are certain colors. For example, this color is like this hot pink, and you want to get rid of it. It basically means what if you want to add a color background. Now, since this is a really big, fat, little blue piece of shit, you really don't want... I'm sorry for the language. Since it's this blue box here, you really don't want... Since you're not going to have like background color, it really doesn't matter. But if you want, there's -1. Sometimes you have to change it to 0, sometimes 255. But let's keep it at -1 since it's not really needed. Now, animation set scale. This is actually important. 0.5. This basically means how big or how small you want the sprite to be. Now, this is a thing with I.K.E.M.E.N. I.K.E.M.E.N default is 640 by 480, meaning the window. Like, for example, when you open up I.K.E.M.E.N, the window's gonna be, you know, this big. It's not relatively that big nor that small. It's full screen. It's 640 by 480. Now, the sprites, when you do that, see, this is why I'm happy, because the Screenpack already is 320 by 240 as stated here in this little section. This is important to note because this confused me at first, and it might confuse you. Keyword being might. If you have like a Screenpack that, let's say for example, this picture is 640 by 480 instead of 320 by 240. that you have to make the picture smaller. So what I'm trying to get to is that I.K.E.M.E.N, although it's 640 by 480 default, it reads sprites smaller than what it should be. So if you want to make that background, instead of that background being instead of it being the same size as the window, it has to be half the size. So instead of if this sprite was, let's say, since the window is 640 by 480, if this was 645 by 480, it would actually be too big for the window, and it will kind of be like enlarged. So you'd have to cut it in half. So let's say, for example, let's imagine this number here is 640 by 480. If that was the case, you would have to make this 0.5, 0.5, which basically means you cut the thing by half. If you make it smaller, the picture is going to be too small. Now, if the picture of either whatever you're using to make your Screenpack or the Screenpack that already exists, if it's 320 by 240 default, then that's good. You don't want this to be in half, because otherwise this sprite's going to be even smaller. Make it 1. 1 means it's the exact same size as, the picture itself. You're not making it bigger nor smaller. If you're planning on making the window bigger, for example, you want to make this widescreen, like 120/80 by 720, which is possible. I'll get to that in another video. You can do that too by either manipulating how big the sprite that you put already exists, or you can port a picture of a sprite that basically matches the size you want. Okay. And now that was a lot of rambling, but it was important for me because it confused me and might confuse you. Okay, so we saved this. Now let's just say already we just replaced the background. This is kind of the easiest thing you can do. Let's open up I.K.E.M.E.N and load it up. Oh my god, it's floating down the fucking ocean. That's fine, we'll fix that right now. But you can see that it exists. So over here, this is the fun part. This is basically function BG sub. That basically means function background. Fucking subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to my channel. What this is where these are basically the labels. This is like for it to exist. This is basically you're creating this. This is putting it. This is the label. This is where this is where you create the sprite. So in the code, and this is where you put the code so the game shows visually. What does that mean? This is where you make it exist, and this is where so people can see it. As you can see here, cell BG, this is the whole code creating the sprite existence, making it exist, live, breathe. And this area is to make sure that you can see it breathing. Yeah, it's kind of dumb when you say it like that, but basically that's what it is. This allows the sprite to be seen on the window, on the game. Let's say if I took this out right now and saved it, you saw that blue thing earlier, right? Now you see me, and now you don't. Instead, you get nothing. So whenever you make a new sprite or you have an old one already there, make sure you have it here. Now to do that, you make animation add position, which basically means adding the position and making it move. Now this is important because you saw that the blue shit was moving, the blue square was moving around. This is what it is. This is actually good. Like, let's say you want to make clouds move left and right. You can put it like here, like you can make it 1 or -1, or hell, you can make it -28 to make it super fast, or 281 if you really want to like have motion sickness. Basically, this is like the x-axis, making it move left and right, y-axis making it move up and down. Let's make it both 0 since you don't want a moving background blue thing. So we made it 0. When we open the I.K.E.M.E.N, watch this. This is magical. Look, it's blue now. Now we're halfway there. That must be annoying. Alright, so you want to do that. Now animation update means updating the animation. Now this is important. This is probably the more important. Animation draw, or anim draw. This basically draws the animation on the Screenpack. Basically, this is the main thing that allows your sprite to be shown. If you take this away, then I believe your sprite might not be shown. But thanks to the code above, I think it'll still be shown. Let's see. Let's test the boundaries. Yeah, it doesn't exist. So if you want to make a new sprite or whatever, you want to make anim draw, and then you make 2 parentheses here, and whatever sprite word is there. So cell BG, so you put cell BG. And that's it, really, as far as adding a sprite, or at least manipulating the background. This is actually like the biggest step you can make. So once again, let's go back to I.K.E.M.E.N, click on it, we have the blue thing and it doesn't move. That's already it. You have this is for the background of the character select. So let's say we have the blue thing, but now let's add that lighting. This is where the all the steps come in real time. So let's make a copy of this and paste it. Now let's call this cell BG.to, or you can call it anything you want. Let's just call it light. Now again, when you make names, you gotta make sure you make all of this the same name as the first name you gave it. See, this is light, this is light, this is light, and now we're gonna make this light. This is very important. Otherwise, I.K.E.M.E.N will not recognize what's the light. You have light here, and then you have cell BG here. It's not gonna work. Also, I just accidentally deleted a what should I call it? A parentheses. So the light animation. What was the light sprite? Here. This is it. Now this depends on let's say, for example, if you have multiple animations, like for example, let's say there's like more of this, like there's 601, and then there's 602, 3, 4, 5, whatever. You add all of that here. Now let's explain it. Now, if you're already using a Screenpack, this is super fucking easy. Well, all you do is really kind of look for the begin action. Now, if it's like if it's animating, then really look for that begin action, and just copy every single thing of that specific sprite or that specific layer you want. See, this is a lot of shit. Also, in case you didn't know, this little stuff over here in the corner has A and a bunch of other numbers. That's basically the fading effect. And you just paste it right here. See, it's that easy. That's if you're porting. Basically taking an already existing Screenpack and just putting it in I.K.E.M.E.N. That's all you do if it has animations. If you're making a Screenpack, this is what you do to add animations. Let's say, for example, you have let's make it cool. Let's make it so that it blinks from blue to white. This is what you do. All what I just did. Oh yeah, I gotta rename this stuff. We'll go back to this light in 1 second. Let's say, for example, you're making the Screenpack, and you're not porting when you're making a Screenpack. What you do is you take whatever sprite that does the animation. Let's say you have something spinning or whatever. You know, you take the sprites, each sprite, each frame, whatever. Let's say you want to make this from blue to white, or something cool like, I don't know, making whatever. You just gotta have the sprites for it. What you do is you take the sprites that you want to put together, or at least you want it to animate right, and you do that. I can show you another example in a second. Let me just prepare the file. I'll show you another example of what this also can affect. Let me just prepare it real quick. Okay, here we go. So let's say, for example, you want it from blue to white, like it's animating, like it's changing color. So you take the sprite. Let's say the first sprite is blue. So it says here group 600, index 0. So you have that here. Now this is the important part too. This number 2 basically is how many frames and how long it's gonna stay there. You can make it bigger. You can make it like, instead of 2, you can make it like 50 or 200, but really you just want it to flash blue to white. But you don't want to do it, if you don't want to do it too fast or too slow, let's just put a random number, 60. And you could put it like the same number, or depending on how the animation looks like, if it's supposed to be animated slower, faster, or the same pace. Let's make this like 30, so it just flashes white like once. Let's just make it 15. You're gonna take the second one. You're gonna make the white color. So the white block, the white thing here, it's group 600, index 1. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same group, but it's highly recommended if it's one sprite being animated. So you see here 600 0, you have 600 1. This is if you're making a Screenpack or you want to do something very specific to the already existing Screenpack. So that's all you do. You just kind of, if you want to add more, you can add more. Like, let's say you want to add more, like blue, white, but really if it's just 2 colors, why would you do that? If it's just 2 sprites, why would you do that? Make sure it's all the same here. One, and since it's a background, it's not a smaller sprite, you can leave that alone. Oh god, this is, okay. Now this is also a very important part. Anytime I say something important part, pay close attention to the fucking video. Here, you'll take, let's say you copy. Alright, so basically what you do is you want to put cell BG.to. You want to put that blue and white, blue and white. Now, this is for existing, like, let's say it doesn't exist here. You made the animation yourself. You made cell BG.to yourself. You coded it, you wrote it. Now, you want to make sure you made it exist. Now, you want to so people can see it. The best way to do it is to take one that already exists. You want to copy and paste it because you really don't want to. It's painstaking to do this. Really, you don't want to. Why would you want to waste time writing it when you could just do that? Now, you already made BG. Why is there two of them? Let's make one of them too. Here's another important thing. If you're putting this is basically you're putting the layers on the screen. Now, what you want to pay attention to is, oh my god, this is long. I'm so sorry. This is very important here. You want to make sure that if you put an extra layer in the front or back, this is how it works. At the bottom here, where next to the word end, this is the front. And all the way up here is the back. What this means is whatever you put over here, like the closer to the bottom it is, the more in front the layer. So for example, this means that the cell box 2 is in front of the background. Let's say you take this cell box and you put it all the way here. Now it's behind the background. And if you put it, let's say over here, it's in front of the background but behind this one. So that's how layers work. So let's say, for example, let's just mash it up like that. So you have the one cell box in the front of the screen. You have the blue flashing blue and white in the front. You have the other box behind the blue flashing, and then you have the background just sitting there lonely. It's gonna look stupid, but it shows you how layers work. See? Now it's flashing and it looks mad stupid, but also one of the boxes is missing. It's hard to tell, but one of the boxes are missing. So let's put that back. Now let's make sense of all this situation. We don't want that blue-white. We want that flash, that little lighting effect. So if it's for a Screenpack that exists or you're animating it yourself, just make sure what you add and makes sense. So let's just delete this. This is not necessary. So you can do that. Like we already copied it. It's called light. Make sure it all makes sense, just like the regular Screenpack it came from. And it's called light. Okay, so it's all good. And how big is this? 320 by 240. Perfect. I don't have to change the scale. So just leave it like that. Now you want to add that lighting animation. So copy this or whatever in the front. Now I believe it should be in the front because it's the light. If you put it behind, no one's gonna see it. See, this is the background. Cell BG is the blue. Light is that little white effect that gives the effect of the Screenpack. Again, this is basic stuff. So save it. Now this BG sub is only for the character select screen. This is just the character. This section here, this little small section, is just for the character selection screen. There's another piece of that, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so watch this. Whoa! It's doing the little flashing light thing. See? See, the blue little background is in the back, while the lighting, which is this sprite, is in the front. So let's open up the Mugen that we were using, and let's show you side by side just the background color. See? It's the same thing. You have the blue flashing here, and you have the blue flashing here. The blue and white flashing. See, and that's it, really. This is all for layers. So let's say, for example, let's go back to this. Let's open up both. Let's do it side-by-side comparison. Alright, let's go to the character select. Okay, so we have the blue and flash, but what about the extra stuff? What about this little rim over here? And this little box thing that Kung Fu Man's inside, how do we put that here? It's the exact same steps we have given you, just you have to be careful with your position. So let's say you want to add that like sprite box here. You can do it here too. We'll do it right now real quick, and I'll do it in silence. So if you want to pay close attention, you may do that. So let's do that real quick. In fact, yeah, let's do that. Okay. I'm just looking for the exact sprite that it uses, because I don't want to accidentally put a sprite, and I want to make it as accurate as I can. So let's make it. So let's see. Okay, so it is those sprites. Oh, whoops! I'm sorry. Okay, so I believe. Okay, if I play the game right now. Okay, so the thing over here. Okay. Alright, so I found the player 1's little section. This is player 1. The sprite is 501 1. Group 501, index 1. So let's make that. Let's go over here. Also, the order of where you put all these little layers do not matter. It only matters when you put the order here, where it says function BG sub. So let's do it real quick and a little quiet. You can name it anything you want. I'll just name this P1 box. Also, a lot of this depends on if you want a very specific thing. For now, it really doesn't matter. In my opinion, the only things that matter are the color key, the tile, and position. Well, not position, wait. Scale. Position is, I guess, not that bad, but really, if you want position, you just fix it on the sprites itself. That's what I like to do. Just fix it here. X position, Y position. You just do it there. Negatives and positive numbers, just do that. Okay. Alright, since it's just one sprite, we don't want tiles of it all over the place. Okay, so we got it. Alright, so what's the sprite here? 501 1. Okay, so 501 1. Okay, -1, -1. Okay. Now we're gonna put it somewhere around here. Now it should be all in the front. So let's put it in front of the box. Alright, so that's all you do. You just get the picture, the sprite you want, you code that a little bit like that, and then you put it here. Now let's see if it appears in the character select. Alright, it's not exactly there. Okay, so that's fine. You look for the X and the Y. How big is the picture? Alright, it's not that big. Alright. Oh, the color. Yeah, that could be a factor. Let's put 0. Just in case, because it might disappear. Okay, it's not there. Let me see. Now, I believe this is where positions come in. You have to have a set position for it. If you want reference, the best reference is to look back at the Screenpack. So let's see what it was Sprite 501. So it's cell BG4, sprite number, start. I believe this is the position I added. So if it's -159 over here, you should put -159 and 16. So let's see, maybe it's a position thing because it's all the way 0, 0. I think I see something that should be. Let me see something. Sorry, if you want, I'll make timestamps so you can skip certain parts of the video if one's more important than the other. You have this little animation, this little sprite here. I'm just doing it right now live to kind of show, like. But that's kind of what you really have to do. Okay, if it's all the way over here, you gotta have it there too. Let me try regular 159 instead of negative. Sometimes you have to kind of mess around with the negatives and positives for it to appear. Yeah, it doesn't really appear here. I don't think I'm doing it right. Am I missing something? P1 box, P1 box. P1 box, P1 box. Let's just add 255 just for the heck of it. Sorry about that. Yeah, I gotta remember to make sure that is the exact same. I don't wanna, I probably misspelled it or something. And just for the sake of it, let's give it an animation just so we can see it, like if it appears on screen or off screen. I do not see it. But that's what you have to do. That's how it works. It's just, I guess the position of it is off. Again, it all depends on the position here and the position of like the sprite itself. But that let's try something else real quick so we don't make the video long. Because sometimes it works, but what it is that sometimes you have to spend time on like adjusting the position sometimes. So let's just get rid of it. So we have the blue background. We have the head. Oh yeah, if you want better reference to see exactly what it looks like, you can also check in the description. I put some Screenpacks that I already created, so you can download and look for yourself for reference. And in case you just want an I.K.E.M.E.N Screenpack, I have created a few. So let's put this box here. Why not? Let's use those good old cell boxes. You know, they might be useless, but hey, let's give it a chance. So let's see. The sprite is 152. Let's just put it here, 152. After this is basically everything. Once you learn this, you learned everything, how to put it on the main menu, etc. It's just a matter of where you put it in there. So let's just change it to that sprite. Let's take out the window. Let's forget the position. Color. Let's make sure the scale. Let's look at the scale real quick. Cell box. But that's all you have to do is really add layers and whatnot. And that's all you really have to do. See, we have it now. Yay. Now it's just this big dumb thing that's moving back and forth like a Tetris piece. Again, what you want to do is you want to take this and make it 0 so it doesn't move. Only make it move when it's a necessary thing, like if it's a cloud or something. And the background color is green. So what you want to do, instead of having make it -1, make it 0. And that gets rid of the background color. I believe it does for any color you use. Yep, any color you use. And once again, it depends on the sprite, because the sprite positioning can be a little bit difficult to spot. So it can also be the size. It can be many factors. And it's also set as a tile. As you can see here, you can see another thing of it. So let's look at it real quick. I believe they are smaller too. I have to keep that in mind. So make the sprite smaller. How big is the sprite here? Okay, so make it a tad smaller. Okay, instead of having like that, let's say 0.7, 0.7. Let's just add a random number. It's trial and error, but you get the idea. Now it's smaller. Okay, fair enough. But that's all you do, really. Once you mess around with the positions, you know, you have the X, Y. Well, let's just make it random. Let's call it 200x axis. So it should go to the left. No, the right. I'm sorry. Wow, I'm dumb. It goes all the way to the right. But that's all you do. You just do it, you know, trial and error. I don't want to make the Screenpack right now. So that's it, really. You just area here. Also, this is for every sprite. So if you're gonna mess with the main menu, this is the area where you put all your sprites and all your layers. Here is the section you add for player 2. Now let's move on to the best part, the main menu. This is easy. If you learn how to do the select backgrounds, you already know how to do the main menu. Let's do the easiest part here. Let's go over here to the important part. Let's go over here to, let's say you want to add this title to the front of your screen. It's called Mugen Battle Coliseum. So let's go to it. I believe it is one sprite. If it's like an animating sprite, you do what I stated. Let me go back real quick just to show you something real quick. What you can do with animation sprites. Let's open up. This is my M.U.G.E.N revival. This is the online project I've been messing with for competitive Mugen fun, competitive Mugen and stuff like that. I'm going to use this as an example. It's a little loud. Sorry about that. Also, I did make the Screenpack as well. Okay, so you see this spinning thing over here? Oops. Sorry about that. See this little spinning thing here? This is actually a bunch of sprites. Each sprite moves a little bit more to, like, each sprite is basically it's spinning, which gives the illusion. So basically you take all those sprites and you put it here. So let's say that's sprite 101. You basically make it 102, which would be the animation that it's moving slightly, like it's rotating a little bit. You do that until you get all the sprites you want, or as many rotations as you want to create. Just as an example. Now let's get to this part, the main menu. Now to do that, you basically do the exact same thing here. So you take a sprite, let's say you want the title. Let's rename it Title, or Tittle. I don't know if I spelled it right. So you just do that, you copy all that, blah blah blah. You check the size, 320. All right, so it's about it's the same thing, 320 by 480. So you can just keep it 1:1. You don't have to make it smaller or bigger. What's the sprite? The sprite is 0, 0. Also, this is a little bit like see how the X and Y axis are? Let's see if it plays a big role. So let's put the title. Now, where are you going to put it? Now, this is the most important part. You want to put it over here. This area, all the way over here, this is a bunch of text here. The best way to find it is find function mode cell, which means mode selection, which is basically the main menu. You have a bunch of things here. You have watch mode, player 1 versus computer, net play, etc. This stuff is basically the same as above. In fact, it has anim draw or text draw. Draw is the word you want to look for. Draw means, drawing it and making it appear on the screen. So, you have all your modes and this stuff. Now, this is where you want to put it. So, let's go back to function BG cell, this stuff here, and copy this. And remember what you wrote. You wrote title. So, let's go over here. See where it says end? Command input end. This is the main menu. This is the code of the main menu. This is the most important thing. If it's a background, or we're not using a background, we're actually going to use a title. You could put it in any way you like. I recommend it putting at the end, over here, all the way in the back. So let's paste it here. Space it so that it matches the lettering, Now you want to change it. We called it title. So you do that with the sprite you created. I recommend messing with the character select first before you do the main menu, because once you learn character select, it's the same thing. It's just it's this area. Remember, this whole area where it says text draw, CMD input, all this stuff here, we're next to the game modes and shit, which are also important, but that's for another thing. This is the area for the main menu. This area, function BG sub, is for the character selection screen. So we put the title. Now, so here it is. Save it. Make sure you save it all the time. Now let's open it up and look at it. Let's see. Boom! Right in its fat ass glory. See, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. You have the title. Now let's adjust it because it looks silly. The best way to adjust it is go back to the title. Let's make it smaller since it is a bit bigger. Well, then again, that's because it's almost 320 by 240. It has to be smaller. I mean, come on, it's the title. Let's cut the size in half. It's always best to cut the size in half. Let's make it go higher too. So over here at the y-axis, let's Sorry about that. Let's change it to 160. So I think it goes lower. I'm not sure. Sometimes I always have my problem with it went it went there. So lonely. Okay, so because we made it smaller, it shrunk and it stayed to that side of the screen. So let's make it, instead of 160, let's just put negative 80 should be fine. And since it moved there, we're going to make a positive. Okay, so the positive numbers on the x-axis, if you have a positive number, it moves to the right. A negative number moves to the left. Just like how a graph works on, like, in mathematics. Whenever you go to math class and you have a graph, where the x's and y's and all the grids and shit, there you go. So let's say we want to put it slightly to the middle. Let's have it 80-80. Let's see the magic numbers. Let's see how that works. Also, remember, that's because of this also. So it all depends. It's all trial and error, but you mostly want to see it's already at the top. We just got to move it a little bit lower and a little bit to the right. So let's do that. So yeah. The positive is the right and the negative is the left. The negative is up on the y-axis and the positive is down on the y-axis, which is kind of weird. It should actually be the other way around, but that's just how I.K.E.M.E.N is kind of fidgety. So let's lower it down to 75, and let's make this 90. This is all trial and error, and you'll get used to it. Right now I'm explaining it, so I'm a little nervous if I mess up. So, alright, so we gotta lower it a little bit more. Let's just give it 58. Actually, since it's a middle thing, I should put it 120, since that's half of 240. So we got it slightly in the middle. We got to lower it a little bit more. Again, trial and error. Once you get used to it, you'll be fine. Just put 130 in that. All right, it's kind of there. It's kind of there. Let's just leave it alone for now. What you want to do is you want to go here. All right, so this is the background that they used, I believe, in the character select. I mean, not in the character, main menu. Okay, so this blue thing. This is Sprite Group 5 Index 0. So you want to make another one. So, if you want, you could just use title. Make title, just call it M.U.G.E.N. You could call it anything, but it's kind of cool if you call it menu background. Let's try to make that a standard. 00 because it's a background. M.U.G.E.N. just rename it. And since the sprite is 320 by 240, you want to make sure instead of this being in half, make it 1. M.U.G.E.N. M.U.G.E.N. There you go. Now that should be it. Once you do that, you go to this section again where you put where it says game mode and all that shit. Watch mode and all that shit. This is where you put the thing. So let's put it behind the title since that makes sense. If you put it in front, like let's say, hold on, let's show you exactly. M.U.G.E.N., which is the little other blue background. You can reuse sprites. You can make new sprites. It all depends on what you want to do. So watch the magic. Oh shit! Whoops, I almost forgot to actually change the sprite. Now we have 2 logos. That's great. My bad. It's 50. Yeah, it's 50. Okay. That was a little mistake I made. My bad. My B. Boom! There it is. Now you got a blue background and you got the little logo over here. This thing is an easy get rid of. We'll change that in a second. Okay, so that's really kind of it. So if you want to add more layers like effects and stuff, it's the exact same thing. You just got to be careful where you put your position, like on whatever animation you want to add, or stuff like that. But that's it, really. It's all layers and stuff. Hopefully it's helped you with it. We're not done yet. We're gonna go through a few extra little things that are also important, but these are the main things for you Screenpack creators. So let's do a few extra goodies. Let's change the text on what modes are. This is the easiest part. This is one of the easiest things. Over here, you'll find this. Watch mode equals create text, whatever. Create text basically means what the code, the function of what it wants to do. It's like, okay, what's watch mode? Okay, watch mode is a text. Okay. Here, you have these little apostrophes. And what you do with these apostrophes is basically in between you change the name. So this is called watch mode, right? Alright, so watch mode. Oh yeah. So let's change it to, I don't know, orgy. You save it, you called it orgy. Now instead of watch mode, it's gonna be orgy mode. It's hard to see. There it is. How creative. How wonderful. Beautiful. Your parents love you, don't they? So you can do that. Also, here is the position on where you want to do. If you're not experienced in I.K.E.M.E.N, I recommend not touching this. I'll make videos later of like how to mess with modes and manipulate modes. I'll make a video on that because this video is already long as shit. Look at that. Almost an hour. But hopefully this helps you. Here you have that. So you want to change it. You don't have to change it. So you can change this watch mode to AI mode or CPU mode, you know, or PC versus PC. You know, you can change it to anything you want. That's how you do it here. Oops, sorry about that. So that's the stuff here. Here, loading, you can also change it because when you fight versus, you know, like a player versus a player, it has loading. You can get rid of it, or you can go be like, be ready, or something generic like that, or you can just keep it loading. Loading, yeah, you can do that too. Here's a cool thing here. Here is a area called, there's the portraits. Now these are the portraits. These are basically the little big head things on your characters. Over here you can change the position, X and Y. So you can have it in the X axis, you can have it 18, 13, or this is for player 1. You can make it go higher or lower. This 1-in-1 thing makes sure that you know, they're set, or whatever you want to call it. Player 2 is, you know, slightly on the other side. It's like all the way to the right, but it still has the same height. This -1 here means that they kind of reverse the picture vertically. So instead of it facing this way, it's kind of like you mirrored it. You kind of like, again, you flipped it vertically. Over here, draw face is where you put your I call it the roster table. It's basically those little small faces when you select the character, all those Kung Fu Mans you saw. So watch me open it real quick. If you open it real quick, you can see all these little Kung Fu Mans. I'll make more videos on how to explain how, like, in-depth how the character select works, because there's actually a lot to the character select that a lot of people don't know about, and we'll get to that in later videos. You have the draw face. So basically, let's say you want, this is player 1 side and this is player 2 as it's shown here. Player 1 select, player 2 select. So you can manipulate how far those go. Now let's get rid of that dumb thing. What's that dumb thing? A little stupid bar. One of these pieces of crap. Let's call it, because that's basically what it is that it reads, it should be Sprite 100. Sprite 101 are what I.K.E.M.E.N reads as those little, you know, those little arrows that you use to navigate the menus. So let's look for that. I think it's at 160, 180. It's one of those things. Now, for those, the best way to go about this is somewhere around here at the top area. Is the also to add music is this area called BGM and play BGM. For this important part, for this you want to basically, let's say you want to put any sound effect, any song. So let's go back to the thing we're using. Let's go to data, whatever, the CND. These are the songs that they're gonna use. So let's say the main menu, title, system. Let me see. You want to make sure they're MP3. You know, usually you can get away with stuff like OGG or whatever. But at this point, I don't know if Ikemen reads those. What you want to do is use MP3 format files. So let's take the how to play select staff. Let's take the what's the song that plays at the start of the game? Let's see. Let's hear rather. Might be a little loud. What's the menu song? You can use any menu song you want. That's definitely not it. I think it's title. Sorry about that. Shit. Hold on, I actually am not sure what song it uses. You can use any song, but if you want to be like accurate to the Screenpack, I recommend you take a listen to the songs. Oh, I was right. I got the reads. Alright, so you go find the song you want to use, which is title. So copy that. You can put it anywhere you want, but I recommend putting it in sound. So what you do is you put here sound / and the title of the song you put, which is called title. I added an extra T in the during, so it's title. I don't care. .mp3. That's how you do it. Now that's there's actually more to this, believe it or not. And you get that little ear rape. I'm sorry. So that's it. Now there are ways to add, because if you do it like that, it's gonna sound weird. It's gonna sound very weird. So you go to new modes, and it's like this music repeating. Please stop! I don't like this porn music. It's gonna repeat. Like every mode you go to is like the same song. It's like, how do I change it? You can do that. The best way to do that is, well, I'm not gonna actually write it in this code. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna take again the revival game I have, which I've been making. I'm gonna use its main.lua, and basically the key words here. Also, I'm gonna use this sound. Okay, so you have the main. This is at the front. This is the main menu section. Make sure you pay attention. Pause the video, clear it up. Pay attention to what you see here text-wise. In fact, I'll make it large. This area is for the sound. This will appear. This area, which is you might have to copy some of this code, but this area, I don't know if it's super important. This is the character select, but this isn't important. This is while in select mode. This plays the character select song. It's basically its own song. As you can see, there are now 2 songs. But the way you do this is, remember this area? This is where you put all the stuff like the main menu. This is the main menu section where you got the backgrounds. I just added a bunch of layers so I can get those cool snazzy effects like lightning and the characters, like the little portraits that appear on the side and little clouds, in case you were paying attention earlier. Below there, game mode 0. Let me just make this quick explanation. Game mode 0 means game mode means like the modes here. 0. This is default. 0 means the CPU battle, AI versus AI. Game mode 1 is player 1 versus computer. Game mode 2 is player versus player, or local versus player. Game mode 3 is online, or at least the searching section, I believe. No, yeah. Like, game mode 3 is the net play mode. Game mode 4 is where you want to change ports in case you want to port forward, or if you have to change the port number. Game mode 5 is the replay section, so you want to replay your online matches. Game mode 6 is player 2 versus computer instead of player 1 versus computer. And game mode 7 is auto test, which we'll talk about in another video. All these we'll talk about in another video. But anyways, let's say you want to have different music for every mode, or you want to have the character select music want to be in some modes, and other modes you want to replace other music. So over here you want to do it like character select for game mode 0. You want to put it here just like all the other ones above. This is for the character select screen on the CPU battle. The same one here under game mode 1, which is versus and all that other stuff. And you can even put different music on, like online. For example, I didn't put character select in the online mode. I put searching.mp3. That's a song I put. You see right under this little connecting area. You can also put different. Basically, that's how you put music in each mode. And the most important thing, which is kind of silly, right here. You see at the bottom. Excuse me. Let's show you the other main. Let's show you the main.lua in regular Mugen and the regular default Ikemen. You see, it doesn't have any of these like separate MP3 modes in the game modes. Like, let me show you. These are all the game modes. As you can tell, they don't have their different thing of music, but you can do that. That's how you do that. I'm not going to do it just to save you guys time. All the way at the bottom, this is the bottom code. Here, this is important. If you're planning on putting different songs, at the very bottom of the code, you want to put your main menu theme song right here, right underneath main. Right, you see it right here. You have the main, and then it has end. Well, right under this, so basically right here where I just made the space, you put in your background of your song for the menu. Otherwise, when you exit the mode, let's say you go, like, in the main menu, you have the main menu music, character select, you have the character select music. If you go back to the main menu, it will still play the character select music. So if you don't put that there, you're going to miss out. That's pretty much it. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I almost forgot two things. The little stupid bar thing that appears when you're moving the cursor, and the sound effects of those cursors. This is really easy. It should be above here. Important part. It should be above here. There's these little things here. Also, you can change the text of the you know how you select the character, it says if you want single, simul, or turns. You can change the text here. Instead of simul, you can call it I don't know, tag or whatever. You know, you can do that. This is the important part. This is the cursor. You have two cursors. You have the cursor, which is basically the small little thing that you select for this, and you have the icon, which is the if I have it correctly, let's go to the sprite, which is 181. See, 100. See, these are the bastards you want to take out. You can replace them with arrows, or you can replace the code itself, and instead of having those, let's see, are there any little arrow animations in this Screenpack? You can either replace the picture or add your own little arrow. So are there any arrows for this? Let's see. Oh. Also, in case you want to add, remember, if you want to add text to the mode, like if at the top of the mode you want to say main menu, you got to add its own sprite, and you got to add a layer, which I've put up above. Is there an arrow for this thing? Do they have an arrow select? I'm pretty sure they do. I probably passed it. Oh, it's those little dinky winkies. I can't tell actually. I can't move the damn sprite. I can't tell. This stupid thing is covering. I can't see it. Well, anyways, also, okay, okay, this is important here. 160 in I.K.E.M.E.N and a lot of other Screenpacks. That 160 is the little thing that you use to move around during the character select. I believe those are. Let's look up 160. This is when you're roaming around the character. It's called P1 cursor. You can change it, and you can add more animations, just like we talked about earlier. You can do that. For 160, let's say you wanna. You can add animation, so if the cursor blinks or whatever. Also, I recommend, if you guys want better understanding, you can download like some of my projects, Screenpacks or whatever, as it shows you exactly just like in the video and where it is. So you can use those as bases. They're all open source, so you can mess around with those. You have the cursors and shit, as well as the. So yeah, you have those cursors and whatnot. And let's go to those little. So let's say you have an arrow animation. To replace that little giant thing that was there, you go all the way at the top, and it should be located when you look up this stuff here. No, not here. Here, PM1 cursor is basically, I believe, the oh right, okay, P1 TM cursor. This is the cursor. This is the little arrow thing. Change the animation, so instead of having that big thing, let's say, because this thing doesn't have an arrow, let's just steal a sprite here. Let's have this thing, whatever it is, 360. Let's change it. So instead of it having been 180, let's change it to 360. And here, let's change this to, let's see, what do we have here? Let's have this red thing. Oh, that might be it. I don't know. Let's have that red thing be 370. 370. So you want to change that. Boom. That's it. Now when you open up the game, it should look a bit different. Oh god, that ear rape. Look at that, we have it. Now, you can level it up or down. You can basically change the size. But I'm just doing this real quick. So, you have that. Now, when you look, you see, now when you do turns, you have, instead of those dumb bars that you saw earlier, it looks a lot cleaner. So, that's how you do it. Also, if you want, I recommend adding sound. So, let's say it has system.snd. Really, there's nothing in there. Take whatever you have, like, from the game itself. Where's the main oops. Alright, let's go to the Screenpack, and let's use the sound effects that they use. I'm sorry that I'm taking too long. I just want to make it as thorough as possible, so you don't have any questions. Alright, so we just copied and pasted the sound. Now, if we move up or down, there should be different sound effects. See? So you get different sound effects, and as you can see, also there's a cursor there. Oh yeah, also, that's another thing that's weird. Nothing, never mind. Whoops. I am imagining shit. So yeah, that's all you do. If you want to change sound effects, over here at the bottom you have 100 and 0. This is basically the group and index of the sound. So you open sound with this, and you look at which sound you want to do. If you want to do, the things like the timer, here is the timer. You change it there. You can add or take away life here. If you want zooming, which is predates Mugen. Oh, well, to cover those in a different video. I apologize. Here is the life bars, which will, you know what? Let's just end it right here, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope this opened some minds. I see we're already past the hour mark. I am so sorry for the long thing, but I want it as clear as possible. And since this is new, hopefully you guys understand. Sorry for the ratchet little clap sound in the back in the background. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys are informed. Thank you for watching very much. Please experiment with I.K.E.M.E.N. It's so good. In my opinion, it's almost better than Mugen as far as an engine. So hopefully this tells you how to use Screenpacks and whatnot. I will make timestamps for the video, so for every time, like in the description, I'll put that. You can also download all the other stuff. Thanks for watching. Peace out and subscribe, niggas, and I hope this informed you.